What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You watching Beyond Astrology, and today we breaking down this for my Gemini risings. We're gonna do the Gemini risings, month of January horoscope breakdown. Just really jumping into y'all energy, and you know what I'm saying, this is something new I'm doing for the channel. So, you know what I'm saying, like let me know how y'all feel about it in the comments. If this was helpful, if it's not, let me know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get a feel for this and see if this is something that we're gonna do for the rest of the year, at the top of 26. I figured why not? You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, Gemini risings. Now, the reason I'm doing based on your rising sign is because I want to focus on where the sun is at, the house alignments, and where the sun is at, because that wherever the sun is at, that's where your focus should be at. So for Gemini risings, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have the Capricorn in your eighth house, and you're gonna have Capricorn in your eighth house, and you're gonna have Aquarius in your ninth. So that's kind of like that's what the season of that's what a month of January is gonna land us for the most part. Now, if you got overlapping houses, depending on the degree of your houses, it might be in different places. And if so, just kind of listen to other readings to mismatch and see which ones go together, and you'll have a bigger, you have a better idea of what the energy is for you during this month. Now, for the most part though, the mass majority of Gemini risings, we're dealing with the Sun and Capricorn in your eighth house. So this is like building in silence. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't really want to tell too many people about your business and what you got going on, or even what you plan to get going in the next year. Um, excuse me. You don't want to tell too many people your plans. You want to keep things under wraps. You want to make sure that you are focused only on, focused on yourself, honestly. Like that's the best advice I could really give, or the suggestion I would give is like keep things under wraps. Don't be chatting too much about what you are excited about, what you are planning to do, at least not until Aquarius season, where you've kind of vetted out who's around you, your associations and things like that. For the most part, like with Capricorn energy, there's a in conjunction between, depending on what your sun is, your sun sign, that's going to determine kind of what, how to act on this energy. But for the most part, just your rising sign, this is kind of giving you a little bit of an energy where you don't really know who's in your business or who's trying to listen with ulterior motives. That's kind of where the sun is at. Also, this is a time like, whenever the sun is going through your eighth house, this is not the time for you to, even though keeping your business under wraps is not the same as keeping secrets. Keeping secrets is a little bit different, but you want to be mindful of who you telling what to. You know what I'm saying? There's not the time to just be out willy-nilly telling anybody information. You want to be very mindful of who you're giving information to, what kind of information you're getting, and even who's too chatty towards you, who's giving you too much information about things that you're actually not trying to build onto or continue experiencing coming in this new energy. Because even though now the real new year doesn't start till Aries season, but right now we're getting a glimpse of this is a time period, like I always say, spring cleaning. You know what I'm saying? What people think spring cleaning is really what's supposed to be happening during this time period from now until March. This is a time where you want to, to put the resolution, the resolve of things. You want to be resolving stuff. You want to be tying up loose ends, getting out of that 2025 energy, which should already be like shedding and releasing. We've closed the chapter on a story already, so you want to make sure all the loose ends is tied up. And even if you can't, like, I'm not talking about going and knocking on people's doors for closure and shit like that. I just really mean you putting your mind in a new space on how you want the next couple months to go, and all the way up to the next couple years, because we're entering a whole new cycle. We got a lot of outer planets moving into new signs. You got Neptune going into Aries by the end of this month. So for you, I think as a Gemini rising, I want to say Aries is in your 11th house, if I'm not mistaken. So this is whole, like, when it comes to your networking, your associations right there, there's a lot of potential for creativity, a lot of potential for your dreams to start to get met based upon you having the right connections and associations, but also just as much as there's the potential for delusions and the wrong people in that mix. And you, again, thinking somebody's your friend and they turn out to be somebody who's really just trying to kick it with you for an advancement in a career, or kick it with you for the different talents that you might not even recognize that you have. One thing that's really important too is to note that Uranus is in late degrees Taurus. It's about to go, it's still in retrograde, but whenever it goes direct, it's going to eventually get back into your sign. And that's going to be Uranus in the first house, which could really shake up things in your personal life. So this year could be a little confusing. It could feel like you're moving in a direction and then all of a sudden you have to completely change courses, and like, almost whiplash. But as a Gemini rising, you should be kind of, depending on where your sun and your moon is at. I mean, for the most part, though, you should have the wherewithal to kind of handle quick movements and stuff like that. Whiplash, like that's kind of the energy I get for the rest of this year, is like whiplash. It might be a little bit of that, but and that's why it's important to kind of like protect yourself during this time, because what you want to do is kind of keep your plans sacred, keep your ideas sacred, keep your goals and things like that, and what you're working on, even your resolutions and what you're wrapping up, and your plans for 2026. You want to keep that under wraps. You don't want to tell too many people, get too many people involved, for many different reasons, because on one end it might just be people giving you ideas that alter the course of your path. But then there's also the other idea of people wanting to maybe involve themselves in something because they see value in it. And, going back to that Uranus going into your first house, you want to really be able to kind of just have the space to do things how you want to do them, rather than being so concerned about who says what, who thinks what. It's just better off for you, even though as a Gemini rising, you might not even care after you give the information. But people, I don't know, it gets funny, it gets tricky too. You also have Jupiter in the second house, most likely, because Jupiter's in Cancer, so the second or third house. So there's something that you might not even realize is very special about you right now. You might not realize your talent at the moment. You might not realize what you have to offer that is very valuable, that other people are very, coming up with different ulterior motives on how to get close to you just to extract that energy from you. You never know. Now, the sun going into the 11th, no, the ninth house for you in Aquarius. So, basically, by keeping what it is that you are doing sacred, right? There will come a time where it'll be time to network. And that networking, you want to just make sure you're networking with people who that you want to be associated with. You want to be mindful of, and that's the thing. That's why, like, you want to make sure you want to take the time right now just to kind of pay attention to who's around you, and kind of like set your mind on what your goals are, keep those things sacred. And then in the ninth house, when the sun moves into your ninth house, then you can investigate a little bit more. You can investigate if you're a friend group. That's kind of the energy with the ninth house, like investigate, or maybe not investigate, but learn more about it. Learn more. I would say investigate now with Capricorn. Investigate different avenues you could take, maybe who you would associate with down the line. Investigate how they live and investigate what they got going on, and make sure that you're not just kicking it with people who have nothing going on and just waiting for you to do something, you know. Um, but for the most part, in the when the sun gets into the ninth house, when the sun gets into Aquarius, that's going to be a time where you can start to learn from your network, ask questions, start to communicate, and that creates a gift. So you're going from an in conjunction to a trine. So a misunderstanding, that's why too much talking, things can get crossed, you could get confused before you even get started. If you wait a little bit, there'll be a gift there. There'll be, when you're communicating, you're met with clarity more often than not. You're met with people also willing to offer their ideas. And then, from there, you can start to construct an idea on how you want to move for the rest of the year, figure out who you need to get closer to, who knows what about what it is that you want to do. Um, And you just have a more chance of being around the right individuals with the right information rather than being kind of caught up with people who either don't care about what you care about, don't got anything going on for themselves, and then that just prevents a whole lot of confusion later on down the line. um you also got the transition with Pluto going over there too. So there's a transformation. There's a good chance that your whole network could transform. And so you want to make sure you're paying attention to who you really want to be in this next coming year. Um, everybody's committing to a whole new energy. This is going into the one energy, one kind of like the 10, but really one energy, which is a masculine type energy. This is a masculine type year, which means it's about getting in the mix, but you don't want to get in the mix too early. You want to make sure, the springtime is really where we're supposed to fully dive in. Right now, the wintertime is initiating transformation. So, this should be a time for reflecting on what just needs to be removed completely, what's already making its way out of your life, and how can you do your due diligence to get it on rest of the way out, flush it through your system. And that way you're actually starting the year with a clean slate instead of what a lot of people do, which is they try to get a head start, but they end up moving too fast. They tell too many people, they get too ahead of themselves, and they burn themselves out before the new year even start for real. You burned yourself out. If it's February and you burned yourself out, it's January 31st, burnt yourself out. You got a whole nother month that you were supposed to be kind of putting things together, or at least getting rid of things and then putting things together for the new springboard into action. So just be mindful of that. What else? I'm trying to think of what other energies you guys need to be aware of. That's kind of like the most part. Like Uranus, like I said, it is coming for your first house. Right now in the 12th house, it's just like, understand the value of of your dreams as an individual, like what it is that you really want to do. That's important for everybody because Neptune is also going into Aries, which I was just talking about. So that is your 11th house. So, like I said before, um, you want to make sure you believe in what you believe in is your own. You want to make sure what you believe in is actually something that's true and aligned with you, because that's going to determine kind of the social circles you're around, the company you keep. And as a Gemini rising, that's very important. You don't want to have company around you that's always looking at the negative or the downside, or just, you don't want to be associated with things that are kind of like low key keeping you away from the stuff that you want to experience, the stuff that you would rather be experiencing. And that's another thing too with the sun in your ninth house of Aquarius, experiences with associations. Pay very close attention during that time, the type or the quality of experiences with the people you're associating yourself with, because that's going to determine whether you need to keep associating with them or if it's time to wrap it up and find a new group. Because, Aquarian energy is going to be very important in the upcoming years. Because we got Pluto transiting through there. Like I said before, a lot of these outer planets are going into new signs. And so that's why this time period feels really weird. It feels almost like we're in between worlds, because in some kind of way, we're all choosing what we're about to settle into as this new storyline begins. Um, you also got in February the new moon in Aquarius setting off the Chinese New Year. So that's where we're really going to start to feel the fire horse energy of, okay, I got to get up and go. You might already be feeling that, but again, back what I was saying before about not moving too fast. You still got some time, but you just want to make sure you're resolving things and kind of getting, and again, keeping things sacred and keeping things under wrap for what you want to get done. Take the time to reflect. I know as a Gemini, you want to talk, you want to get it, you want to get the message out, but it's like wait a little bit before you get the message out, and then you'll be fine. All right. Um, I think that's about it. What I'm saying? I think that's about it for the most part. Like I said before, you can hit me up, davebeyond95@gmail.com. Send me an email if you have any questions or you want to schedule a reading. I like to do readings based upon people's requests. So if you have an individual question or you just want a general reading, put astrology help in the subject line, send me that email, and then I'll get right back to you. Or if you just have a question that you want me to make a video on, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I'll get right back to y'all. But yeah, I love y'all. Shout out to all my Gemini rising, sun, moon, and ascendants, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.